In this episode of Detroit Performs, a special edition dedicated to veterans as we meet up with a group of students who show their support for veterans and their service dogs through a creative project, a model maker who uses his skills to honor those who have served our country, and a photographer whose exhibition evokes the psychology of life after war. It's all ahead on this edition of Detroit Performs.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, MGM Grand Detroit, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm DJ Oliver and welcome to Detroit Performs. Today's episode is a tribute to our veterans, and because of that, we came to the Tuskegee Airmen National Historical Museum in Detroit. The Tuskegee Airmen were determined young men who enlisted and became America's first black military airmen. Many of those who enlisted were from right here in Detroit. Our first segment honoring our war heroes features Stiggy's Dogs, an organization that trains rescue dogs to be service dogs for veterans. Recently, a group of elementary school students wanted to show their support for Stiggy's and the veterans with a creative service project. Check it out.
Now, if you guys will remember, we learned about Stiggy's Dogs and what they were doing to help veterans, especially veterans who had served in Afghanistan or in Iraq. And we had learned about how they were taking animals from the Livingston County Animal Shelter and how they were pairing them with vets to make their lives a little bit better.
I'm Beth Molnar, and I teach English language arts and social studies to our team, Team Awareness. We teach fourth grade here at Navigator School. And
Catherine Potoff, and I teach the math and science to the entire team here at Navigator Upper Elementary School.
Priscilla Homan approached us about a 9/11 grant, and so we got together over the summer, Catherine and I and Priscilla, and we came up with a plan for the grant, and we were granted the grant. And so part of the grant was to make fanny packs for the veterans and bandanas for the dogs, so that when the dog and the veteran were matched up, they would have something matching together. And the kids were really, really excited.
The projects that the kids have come up for us, making the fanny packs, making the bandanas, all of those things can be utilized, not just for our training for our veterans, but also it helps spread the word. Anything that gets people talking is a good thing. If my dog is wearing a bandana that says I support Stiggy's Dogs or I love Stiggy's Dogs, people want to know, what is Stiggy's Dogs? Anytime I'm wearing a shirt, the same thing, I'm getting asked about it. What is Stiggy's Dogs? So again, that all leads to education, and that really is the key. We are named in honor of our director's nephew, Benjamin Castiglione. He was killed in action in Afghanistan in 2009. And as a way to keep his legacy going and to continue to take care of his Marines, as he called them, we started Stiggy's Dogs.
What we really do, the basic core and essence of us is we rescue dogs from different shelters around the area, and we pair those dogs with veterans that have PTSD or TBI. So, you know, our motto is rescuing one to rescue another, and that is the truth of that. I love working with Pinckney schools. This has been the third or fourth time that they have brought us back, and I really believe that, you know, education and perception starts with our youth, and they're just very patriotic here. They came up with this great idea about the fanny pack and bandanas, which work perfectly within our motto. The fanny packs are great because when they first start training, you know, they'll need them for some treats or to have, you know, doggy bags in them.
We set from the very beginning a tone that we are involved with the community service projects. Service learning is a huge aspect of our team. And so before we took on the project really with the students, we spent some time going over the website, talking about Stiggy's Dogs. And so we talked a little bit about what service dogs can do for humans.
Our dogs are trained for a number of tasks. The biggest one obviously being the dog caring about the emotional state of their handler. That is a 24/7 job. They have to monitor that handler whether they're awake or asleep.
And it really segued nicely into our our service project with Stiggy's dog. So the students were really invested right off the bat in thinking, how can we help people who've given so much service to our country? It was a really nice fit.
Anything with animals and especially dogs, there just seems to be this genuine draw to be an active participant.
And it was really amazing to me that many of the children really took the time to plan out and really think about what they wanted to say. And we talked about how this is a gift to a veteran from you, and it really needs to look nice and it really needs to mean something.
It felt really special to make these for people who serve for our country. I hope it goes to someone good who needs one.
They just have such a simple way of understanding and appreciating, what military and veterans do or have done. So just to see, their little hands, doing this little artwork and all these little pictures and the words they put on there, you wouldn't expect a lot of them to understand that, but they actually do.
This is my bag, and it says Stiggy's Dogs right here. It's got a little doggy bone and then doggy footprints and some stars, and then on the top it says, "Thank you for your service." It has dog prints and USA and a bunch of stars.
I don't know, I guess when I look at this, when I think of the students' artwork, and I see little dog bones and I see stars and tiny little paw prints at the top, it makes me smile. And I guess if I were a vet and I'm reaching in every day for a little treat for my dog, I'll be thinking that some fourth grader made this for me. And I guess you just can't help but feel good about this. I get really teary when I think about it. It's just so sweet.
And they really put time and energy into each one of their artworks that they did, and just seeing the pride that they had as they were showing them to us, that just fills my heart with joy. Oh, I love the bone. Look at that. Wow, beautiful.
Children want to give, they want to feel like they're productive, they want to show how much they really truly care. And that's why we're here. We need to help them find ways that they can give back to their community. And I think art is an actual pretty much an easy way for them to do that, because really, I was pleasantly surprised how many children had artistic flair and ability.
I put a bone up here and for like the treats and stuff to go in. And I put paw prints and I said, a man's best friend. This is my card. It says, "Thank you" on the front. And then I put a flag.
They really took some time and effort on the thank you cards to the veterans. So, that's another that's a different avenue for artistic expression. So the kids maybe that weren't as good as at the fanny pack maybe did a really fine job on the card that they made, or vice versa. So it was allowing that medium of art to come out in several different ways.
It might start out as just something as simple art, but the meaning behind that and what it turns out to be was so much more. And you take this project, for example, we got to sit and talk with kids, and they got to ask questions with our veterans and to touch these dogs, and they got to learn about service dogs. So even though it was just an artwork, it transpired into so much more.
I guess when we have it on the dog, I have him with me all the time, and I can see it all the time, and I see what somebody's done and he's wearing it. It lets you know that you're not alone. Somebody else is. They understand why you have this dog, and they understand the things you went through.
For what our military do for us and the freedoms that we're allowed in this country because of them is so important to instill in them, especially at this early age. I think it's what makes our country great.
I feel great giving stuff to people that once helped us in the Army, and I feel great giving them stuff back in honor.
They may not fully understand PTSD, but understanding that there are people out there that need that extra bit of help. You never know what a person's dealing with.
I believe that art is a great therapy, and in trying to, like with service dogs, we're using that as one form of therapy. There are all different alternative types, so seeing that the kids are doing this with art and seeing how that is also helping, I think that there's a great way to combine both. Thank you guys for bringing that awareness and making this come full circle.
Spreading the word about what we've done, just a small project, maybe that will spur on other teachers to do service learning projects. There are so many things out there that you can do.
You guys were so creative. Seriously, there was so many cool things. I just have tears in my eyes. This was wonderful.
Believe it or not, thank you means so much to these veterans. It really does. We'll be out training and somebody will come up and, oh, are you a veteran? And they'll say yes, oh, thank you for your service. And you can see this change come over them and the pride that they have that somebody took the time to recognize, and to see children recognize it too. It's just awesome.
Dear veterans, I want to say thank you for all of your service to our country.
Thanks to you, I don't have to worry about anything bad happening to me in my country.
I am grateful for how you have kept my country and me safe.
Now I don't have to worry. Your friend Bella.
You can learn more about Stiggy's dogs and the rest of the Detroit Perform artists on DetroitPerforms.org. Up next, Sean Tracy is a guy who believes in honoring our veterans and also loves making museum-quality models of military vehicles, similar to this one. The result is a Veterans Model Project.
The Veterans Model Project was started 5 years ago, and what I do is I find World War II veterans. Any veteran will suffice or is eligible, but I focus on World War II veterans. I get a small history of their military service, and my way of thanking them is by building a model of the plane they flew in, the ship they sailed on, the vehicle they drove, the equipment they used, and I give it to them at no cost to them. It's my thank you gift. I'm not sure what prompted me to begin doing this. I've just always had a high respect for veterans, and I just took two things that I love the most, veterans and building models, and put them together and came up with the project. I am a resident assistant, which is just a caregiver, at Independence Village in Brighton. And believe it or not, the reason I got into that was because of the Veterans Model Project. Dealing with so many people of older age, I just was compelled to serve them, and I put myself through school, and next thing you know, I'm actually taking care of them. Once I find a veteran, for instance, say he flew in a B-17 Flying Fortress, I'll find out what position he flew in, whether he was the pilot, the bombardier, gunner. Talk to him about his plane, what the plane looked like, because there was different color schemes, nose art was different, where they flew out of was different, whether it was Europe or the Pacific Theater. Then I'll locate the model kit, purchase the model kit, and start building it. And I try to detail the model so it's as close to a replica of the very same aircraft they flew in, right down to the tail number. And I could spend anywhere from 60 up to 300 hours to build one of these models. Giving them a model is more, in my view, it's more personalized by them actually having a replica of that subject, vehicle, aircraft, whatever it may be. To the veteran, it's more appreciated because they're not reading something on a piece of paper. They're actually holding a small-scale replica of what they operated. And so it becomes more real to them. They're all appreciative. I've never had a single veteran ever say, well, no, that's not right, or that doesn't look correct, or that's not the same color. Every one of them are appreciative. I've had a couple cry, which it's kind of hard for me because it's not my intention to make anybody cry. I mean, they're crying out of gratification and happiness and stuff, but still, I don't want to make them cry. but they're all very, very, very thankful about it. In mid-1941, nobody thought, well, there were suspicions that we'd be going to war. A lot of people denied the fact that it would ever happen. So when the war broke out and these individuals, these ordinary men that were thrust into extraordinary circumstances were called to service, they answered the call. Ted Diamond is a Korean War veteran, and he was with the artillery in Korea, and he operated a 105 and 155 millimeter cannon. He's getting a replica of the cannon that he operated as a loader, and it's been built onto a base, what they call a diorama, so you can get a sense of how it was set up and used. That is for you.
Oh, I do appreciate it.
See all the little detail, I got the shovel in the dirt.
Bring back memories.
That's kind of the whole idea.
Yeah.
But this is to thank you for your service.
Well, certainly appreciate it.
Nick was in the Air Force for a year and a day exactly. And while he was tied to a desk, his favorite pastime was going outside and watching the P-51s do their thing in the air. And it's his favorite plane, so that's why he got it.
Oh, I love it.
Good.
Absolutely.
When I explained to them that in my eyes and a lot of other people's eyes that they're heroes, they just absolutely refuse to accept the fact that they're heroes. The heroes to them are the ones that didn't come back, or the ones that are permanently disabled. Those are the heroes in their eyes. In my eyes, if you served, if you wore the uniform, you're my hero. The World War II veterans freed a good part of the world from tyranny, and were it not for the World War II veterans, not of just the United States, of all the Allied forces, who knows where we'd be right now. Veterans need to be thanked, and they need to be appreciated for what they did. Many of them went in voluntarily, but others went in by a draft. They might not have wanted to go in, but their nation called and they served. They sacrificed years of their lives for pretty much the benefit of the world. My ultimate goal would be to build a model for every veteran that I come in contact with who wants a model. When I'm no longer asked for a model, or I don't have any veterans to offer a model to, then I know the project is complete. If someone knows or has their own significant way of thanking a veteran, I strongly suggest you do that. If you see a veteran and he's wearing a hat, or he has a World War II veteran's license plate, just go up to him, shake his hand, thank you for your service, and you'd be amazed what that does for the veteran.
The 99th Fighter Squadron is one of the most celebrated squadrons of the Tuskegee Airmen. The airmen's success during World War II, not losing a single bomber to enemy fire in 200 of the 205 combat missions, is a record unmatched by any other fighter group. Now, let's check out some upcoming events happening in and around this community. To discover more events in Greater Detroit, visit ixity.com. For the past 6 years, photographer Jennifer Karady has worked with American vets returning from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan to create staged narrative photographs depicting their individual stories and addressing their difficulties adjusting to civilian life. Here's the result for a collaboration with the vets.
Soldier Stories from Iraq and Afghanistan is a project that I've been working on for the last 8 years. I've been traveling around the country working with American veterans who've served in Iraq and Afghanistan to make these staged narrative photographs.
The Institute for the Humanities and the School of Art and Design came together in this collaborative way to support the work of Jennifer Karady. Both the School of Art and Design and the Institute was very interested in bringing attention to the stories of veterans.
The making of each photograph involves a collaboration between myself and the veteran. We begin with a series of interviews, and through those interviews we are looking to identify a moment from war that's come home with the person into the civilian world. And so we talk about both that memory of war and then also the way that memory manifests itself in the present.
I met Jennifer through a listserv that the university runs to pass on information to student veterans. I was vaguely familiar with the project, and I wanted to see what she was doing here at Michigan, you know, what the reach of her project was, the message that it was sending. And after meeting with her and discussing the project, it sounded like something that I wanted to be involved with.
In each photograph, the veteran is in uniform and we're restaging this memory from war, but that moment is recontextualized in the civilian world. So you get this sense of a collision or collapse between these two worlds, and trying to represent something that's invisible, something that's unconscious, something that's emotional. So what it feels like for the veteran to come home and sometimes experience two different realities at once. And that could take place in the form of a flashback, a memory, an instinct, an image. It's very common, most veterans come home with one of these things, like let's say an instinct that you can't immediately turn off.
It's almost a hidden experience, you know. They're coming back from an entirely different life experience and entering into a civilian life, and I think we know nothing about it.
I made this picture with Shelby Webster on the Omaha Nation Reservation in Nebraska. She was a single mother who left her kids to deploy to Iraq. Shelby was a truck driver, and on her first convoy, the convoy got attacked. So Shelby found herself lying in the ground in prone position with, you know, weapon drawn. I mean, she was terrified. You know, she was hearing explosions, the ground was shaking. It was really her first moment of real war. And she just kept thinking about her kids. So she heard a voice, and the voice said to her, "Well, you're gonna be all right." And she recognized that voice as her deceased grandfather's voice. And then she also smelled this incredible smell of cedar burning. And the Omaha people, when they pray, they burn cedar. And the next time she called home to her dad, she said, "Dad, I smelled cedar." And he said, "Well, we just had this big prayer meeting specifically for you. That must be what you smelled." So I really love this idea of this cedar smoke traveling across the world from Nebraska to Iraq to help Shelby. The photographs are accompanied with texts or sound stories, and basically those consist of the veteran telling the story in their own words.
I was really surprised, you know, when she came back with the voice recording, and she had edited it and put together this you know, narrative that really spoke to me. It was almost as if somebody else got it. My photo deals a lot with the experiences of being in Iraq, of seeing my friends killed. It shook up my sense of self, because I felt that I owed it to those who I served with to remain engaged, and at the same time doing so in many ways conflicted with, you know, the emotions that I was feeling. And so when I came back, there was a distance between some of those, you know, who I considered friends, where we perhaps were each grieving in our own ways, and we didn't understand why things were the way they were. You know, we were grappling with some very difficult things. You know, over time, and especially working through this project, I've had the opportunity to, you know, really think about those things, reconnect with some of the people that I served with, talk with them about, you know, the experiences that we had.
One of the questions that I ask veterans during the whole process is, what will make you feel safe to work with this moment or memory in a photograph? And so whatever they tell me, I incorporate into the picture. So early on, a veteran told me like, well, my family is what makes me feel safe and grounded in the present. Then it also becomes a way for them to start talking about something that might be really difficult to talk about with, you know, their family and friends.
I think that there are a lot of themes in Jennifer's work. I think it just speaks to the humanity of service members, that we are ordinary individuals put in extraordinary circumstances, and out of you know, devotion for our country and a sense to serve, we've taken on a certain burden. And that's not to say that we're owed anything or that we expect any special treatment, but that we just want to be viewed like ordinary people who love their country and are proud to have had the opportunity to serve.
Even though it's about the psychological effects of war, some of the people that I make pictures with have been diagnosed with PTSD, and others would describe themselves as well-adjusted. And all of the people that I make pictures with have been able to readapt and readjust.
It takes time. You know, for me, it took years to finally, you know, face things that maybe I was not ready to deal with. And you know, every case is different.
My hope for this project is that, you know, civilians are able to get a glimpse into, you know, a soldier's mind, like that they're still a soldier, and into like these specific memories, and so that they'll be able to empathize and have some better understanding.
It is a challenge to relate the experiences of war in a way that those who have never experienced it can understand. But I think that if, you know, you approach the situation with a sense of openness and caring, then veterans will be very responsive to that.
To find out about Jennifer Karady and the soldier stories, visit the Detroit Performs website. And that wraps it up for this edition of Detroit Performs. As always, for more arts and culture, head to DetroitPerforms.org, where you'll find featured videos, blogs, and information on upcoming arts events. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. I'd like to thank the Tuskegee Airmen National Historical Museum for having us out here today, and most importantly, thank those veterans for all that they've done to serve our country. Until next Tuesday, get out there and show the world how Detroit performs, y'all. I am DJ Oliver. Thanks for watching, guys.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, MGM Grand Detroit, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.